your green card. This is US Visa Info, and we're going to cover everything you need to know to protect your permanent resident status. Let's start with understanding what's actually changing and why this matters so much. United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, along with Customs and Border Protection, have announced significant updates to how green card holders' travel is monitored and evaluated. These changes are part of a broader effort to strengthen immigration enforcement and ensure that permanent residents are actually maintaining their residency in the United States as required by law. Now, many green card holders don't realize this, but your permanent resident status comes with a critical obligation. You must maintain the United States as your primary residence. This doesn't mean you can never travel, but it does mean the U.S. needs to remain your home base, the place where you live, work, and have your strongest ties. Starting December 26th, the government is implementing enhanced screening procedures at all U.S. ports of entry. What does this mean for you? When you return to the United States after traveling abroad, CBP officers will have access to more comprehensive data about your travel patterns, how long you've been outside the country, how frequently you travel, and whether your trips suggest you're actually living somewhere else. The system will flag green card holders who have been outside the U.S. for extended periods, and these travelers will face additional questioning and scrutiny when they try to re-enter. Here's the key change that everyone needs to understand. Previously, the general guideline was that if you stayed outside the U.S. for less than 6 months, you were usually okay, and trips between 6 months and 1 year might raise questions but weren't automatic red flags. Under the new rules taking effect December 26th, the threshold is becoming much stricter. Any absence from the United States exceeding 90 days will now trigger enhanced review. That's right, just 3 months outside the country could now result in detailed questioning about your intent to maintain permanent residence. This is a massive shift from the previous informal 6-month guideline that most immigrants have been following. But it gets more complex than just counting days. The new regulations also look at patterns of travel. If you're someone who makes frequent trips abroad, even if each individual trip is under 90 days, the cumulative time you spend outside the U.S. will be calculated. For example, if you travel outside the country every other month for 2 or 3 weeks at a time, by the end of the year, you might have spent 4 or 5 months abroad total. Under the new system, this pattern will be flagged, and you could be questioned about whether you're truly residing in the United States. Let's talk about what happens at the airport when you're flagged under these new rules. When you present your green card at the port of entry, the CBP officer will see an alert in their system indicating you've been outside the U.S. beyond the recommended time frame or have a concerning travel pattern. At this point, you'll likely be directed to secondary inspection. This isn't necessarily the end of the world, but it's a serious situation. In secondary inspection, officers will ask detailed questions about your trip, why you were gone so long, what ties you have to the United States, whether you have a job here, whether you own or rent property, where your family lives, whether you filed U.S. taxes, and what your intentions are regarding living in America. This is where many green card holders make critical mistakes. Some people get nervous and give inconsistent answers. Others don't have adequate documentation to prove their U.S. ties. Some admit they've been living abroad or indicate they're not sure when they'll return to the U.S. permanently. Any of these responses can lead to serious consequences, including having your green card taken away on the spot. Yes, CBP officers have the authority to confiscate your green card if they determine you've abandoned your permanent resident status. If this happens, you'll be given a notice to appear before an immigration judge, and you'll have to fight to keep your status, which is expensive, time-consuming, and far from guaranteed to succeed. So what do you need to do right now to protect yourself? First, and most importantly, if you're planning any travel outside the United States, you need to plan it carefully with these new rules in mind. Try to limit trips abroad to less than 90 days whenever possible. If you absolutely must be outside the U.S. for longer than 90 days, there's a document you need to know about called a re-entry permit. This permit allows you to stay outside the United States for up to 2 years without abandoning your permanent resident status. However, you must apply for it while you're physically in the United States before you leave. You can't apply for it from abroad. The application process takes several months and requires biometrics, so you need to plan well in advance. Second, maintain strong ties to the United States and be able to prove them. What does this mean practically? Keep a U.S. address where you actually live, not just a mail forwarding service or a relative's address you never visit. Maintain U.S. bank accounts and use them regularly. Keep your driver's license current. If you own property in the U.S., keep documentation of ownership and utility bills. If you rent, keep your lease agreement and evidence that you're paying rent. File U.S. tax returns every single year as a resident, not as a non-resident. This is crucial because tax filing status is one of the strongest indicators of where you consider your home to be. Keep evidence of employment in the U.S., whether that's pay stubs, an employment contract, or business ownership documents. If you have children in U.S. schools, keep their enrollment records. All of these documents prove that your life is genuinely centered in the United States. Third, if you've already been outside the U.S. for more than 90 days and you're worried about re-entry, consider consulting with an immigration attorney before you try to return. An attorney can help you prepare for the questions you'll face, organize your documentation, and advise you on the best approach. If you're at serious risk of being found to have abandoned your residency, an attorney might recommend alternative strategies, though your options become limited once you've already been gone for an extended period. Now let's address some specific situations that people ask about all the time. What if you have an emergency abroad, like a sick family member, and you need to stay longer than 90 days? Medical emergencies and family emergencies are considered valid reasons for extended absences, but you need documentation. Get letters from doctors, hospital records, death certificates, if applicable, anything that proves the emergency was real and required your presence. Keep evidence that you intended to return to the U.S. as soon as possible, like booking return flights that you had to change, or correspondence showing you were trying to get back. What if you're working abroad temporarily for your U.S. employer? This is generally acceptable if you can prove it's truly temporary and your employer is sending you abroad for a specific assignment with a defined end date. Get a letter from your employer explaining the assignment, how long it will last, and that you'll be returning to your U.S. position afterwards. Keep evidence that you're paying U.S. taxes on your income and that you've maintained your U.S. residence. What if you're caring for elderly parents abroad? This is one of the most common reasons green card holders spend extended time outside the U.S., and it's also one of the most difficult situations. While it's understandable and sympathetic, immigration law doesn't provide a specific exception for this. If you need to care for parents for an extended period, you should strongly consider applying for a re-entry permit before you go. Without one, you're taking a significant risk, especially under these new rules. What about students? If you're a green card holder studying abroad, this is generally not a good idea for maintaining your status. Enrolling in a full-time academic program abroad suggests you're making that country your primary residence, not the United States. If you must study abroad, keep it short-term, like a semester exchange program, and maintain clear evidence that you're returning to complete your education or career in the U.S. Here's something else that's changing under the new December 26th rules. The government is also increasing coordination between different agencies. This means USCIS, CBP, the IRS, and the Social Security Administration are sharing data more effectively. If you're not filing U.S. taxes, or if you're filing as a non-resident, this information will be visible to immigration officers. If you're claiming foreign tax credits that indicate you're paying taxes as a resident of another country, this will raise red flags. If you're not earning any U.S. income for extended periods, this will be noticed. The days of gaming the system or thinking you can maintain green card status while actually living abroad permanently are coming to an end. Let's talk about the timeline for all of this. December 26th is the official implementation date for these new screening procedures. If you're traveling before then and returning after that date, you'll be subject to the new rules when you return. If you have travel plans around the holidays, this is something you absolutely need to factor in. The period right after December 26th might see increased delays at ports of entry as officers adjust to the new system and as the backlog of flagged travelers gets processed. If you're traveling internationally and returning in late December or early January, give yourself extra time at the airport because secondary inspection can take anywhere from 30 minutes to several hours. There's also talk of additional changes coming in the months after December 26th, though these haven't been officially announced yet. Immigration advocacy groups and attorneys are warning that the government may introduce even more stringent requirements, possibly including mandatory check-ins for green card holders who travel frequently, or requirements to notify USCIS in advance of extended travel. While these aren't in place yet, the trend is clear. The U.S. government is taking permanent resident travel much more seriously and expecting green card holders to truly live in America, not just visit occasionally. What if you've already violated these guidelines in the past? Maybe you've taken long trips abroad before and didn't realize the risk you were taking. The good news is that past travel, especially before these new rules take effect, is generally viewed more leniently. The government understands that many people were following the old, informal 6-month guideline and didn't realize it wasn't a hard rule. However, going forward after December 26th, you can't claim ignorance anymore. These rules will be widely publicized, and violations will be taken more seriously. If you have a history of extended absences, now is the time to change your pattern and establish stronger U.S. ties before you travel again. For those of you considering applying for U.S. citizenship, these new rules are actually another reason to pursue naturalization sooner rather than later. Once you become a U.S. citizen, these travel restrictions disappear. You can live abroad for as long as you want without losing your citizenship. You only need a valid U.S. passport to return. The naturalization process requires that you've been a permanent resident for at least 5 years, or 3 years if you're married to a U.S. citizen, and you need to have been physically present in the U.S. for at least half that time. If you're already eligible or close to eligible, prioritizing your citizenship application will give you much more freedom and security. Let me also address a dangerous myth that I see circulating online. Some people believe that if they have a re-entry permit, or if they're traveling for work, they can live abroad indefinitely and just return to the U.S. occasionally to maintain their green card. This is absolutely false and will get you in serious trouble under the new rules. A re-entry permit extends the time you can be abroad without automatic presumption of abandonment, but it doesn't eliminate the requirement that the U.S. be your primary residence. Officers will still evaluate your overall ties and intentions. If it's clear you're living in another country and just visiting the U.S., your green card will be at risk no matter what documents you have. Another common question is whether these rules apply differently depending on where you're traveling. The answer is no. Whether you're visiting Canada, Mexico, Europe, Asia, or anywhere else, the same rules apply. Some green card holders assume short trips to neighboring countries like Canada or Mexico don't count the same way, but that's incorrect. Anytime you leave the United States, even for a day trip across the border, it's counted as international travel. What about special categories of green card holders? If you're a conditional permanent resident, meaning you have a 2-year green card based on marriage or investment, these rules apply to you just the same. In fact, you need to be even more careful because you also have the requirement to remove conditions before your 2 years are up, and extended absences can complicate that process. If you're a returning resident who already had issues in the past or who previously filed for a returning resident visa, you're under even more scrutiny and need to be extremely careful with travel. Now let's talk about practical preparation for your next trip. Before you travel internationally, gather and bring with you all the evidence of your U.S. ties that we discussed earlier. Don't just have these documents at home where they won't help you if you're questioned at the airport. Bring copies of your lease or mortgage, recent utility bills, your most recent U.S. tax return, proof of employment, bank statements showing U.S. accounts, your driver's license, and anything else that demonstrates you live in America. Organize these in a folder that you can easily access if you're sent to secondary inspection. Being able to immediately provide documentation can make the difference between being let through and having your green card confiscated. Also, be prepared to answer questions clearly and confidently. Officers are trained to detect nervousness and inconsistency. Know your own timeline of when you left, where you've been, and when you're returning. Know your U.S. address, your employer's name and address, and basic details about your life in America. Don't volunteer information that isn't asked for, but answer the questions you're asked directly and truthfully. Never lie to a CBP officer. If you're caught lying, it's grounds for immediate inadmissibility and potentially permanent bars from the United States. Here's something many people don't think about, but is increasingly important. Your social media presence can be reviewed by immigration officers. If your social media accounts show you living abroad, working for a foreign company, or constantly posting about life in another country, this can be used as evidence against you. Be mindful of what you post online. You don't have to delete your accounts or stop using social media, but be aware that it's no longer private when it comes to immigration decisions. For families with green card holders, these rules apply individually to each person. If you have children who are permanent residents, they're subject to the same travel limitations. Some families split up, with one spouse staying in the U.S. with the kids while the other travels abroad for work or family reasons. This can work, but the traveling spouse is the one at risk. You can't maintain your green card just because your family is in the U.S. if you yourself are constantly abroad. Each permanent resident is evaluated based on their own presence and ties. The financial implications of these changes are worth considering too. If you lose your green card, you lose the ability to work legally in the United States, access certain benefits, and you'd have to start the entire immigration process over from scratch, which could take many years and cost tens of thousands of dollars. Compare that to the cost of properly maintaining your residence or applying for citizenship, and the choice is clear. Protecting your status now is far cheaper and easier than trying to recover it after you lose it. So there you have it, everything you need to know about the critical green card travel rule, changes taking effect December 26th. We've covered what's changing, why it matters, how it will affect you at the port of entry, what you need to do to protect your status.
Information you need to know. We continue to educate our listeners. If it's true, we'll share it on cue, right? Let me give you some information. This U.S. Attorney, Dominican, will be here live via the yacht stream from about 2 o'clock. So maybe you have your own questions. So write your questions down. Tamika Jude will join us at 2 o'clock on this ongoing issue with visas. Hello, talk to me, yes?
So much guess now we're going to lose you.
You never know.
Not so you cannot be with us as often as before.
No, I'll be there, man. Don't worry about that.
Why you you'll be broadcasting from overseas.
All I need to.
Please won't do. I'm afraid now. Matt, you see, America can be branded as the devil. But the rest of the world, they are not saints, particularly Dominica and many other countries that will talk about Trump. Matthew, maybe need to get a good background check on Germany, France, Britain, to see what is going on, having to do with foreign immigrants. Because after all of them commit all the atrocities and fought all the tribal wars they call world wars, now push come to shove, Matt, they do not want to get Trump. The enemies of the countries are foreign immigrants. But it's not about Trump. Just follow international news and do not believe everything you hear. But there's some credible information. So, Matt, while everybody hates America, they still want to be in America. Now, yeah, Trump. Have you not seen Scary? Everybody blaming America and talk about America this and Trump that and that. They're not seeing their own leaders of the countries. They're making all kind of stupid and silly excuses to, for the governments or the leaders. But Donald Trump is Satan. I am telling all you, these Caribbean leaders, they're not saints. And I can see, Matt, for you to have so many enemies and to let your guard down, you would be a fool. You see that kind of free entry through the border wall, Matt? You there with me?
I'm ready. Yes, go ahead. Yeah.
Biden and them, say what you want about Trump. America needs to be secured because America, Matt, these days is not just conventional weapon, Matt. You're talking about nuclear weapon, biological and chemical weapon that can kill thousands, even millions. So, it would be foolish to be a bully like America, Matt, and to let down your guard. In Dominica, Matt, do you know the song guys they're talking about? They come in and vote and they want to decale. Matt, can you play me a little piece of decale, please? Thank you.
I'll play that for you. Hello, talk to me on the telephone. Yes. Again, we heard from Mr. Crispin Gregoire this morning. As talked to the weekend by our leader and the Prime Minister of Antigua. That proclamation has not changed. Actually, I tried to reach out to the ambassador to the UN just a short while ago, trying to get his view, And he did respond, We're talking about Mr. Aaron. He responded that way. The mission continues to coordinate all visa-related matters through the capital. At this time, we do not have any additional comments or updates given by the Honorable Prime Minister. He says, I promise to provide any comments if available, if it becomes necessary. Do have a productive day. Thank you, Ambassador Aaron. Thank you for responding to me in quick time. And I want to say season greetings to you there. There's some people in the diaspora who said, Matt, we should reach out to the ambassador. I did. And that's the way he responded to me again. He says, season greetings and thank you for reaching out. Apologize for missing your call. The mission continues to coordinate all visas related matters through the capital. At this time, we do not have any additional comments or updates. Given by the Honorable Prime Minister. I promise to provide and, of course, any comments once it becomes and if it becomes necessary. Thank you, Mr. Aaron. But we did hear from the, of course, Ambassador Crispin Gregoire this morning. As I said to you, stick around. Tamika Jude, immigration attorney, U.S. immigration attorney based in Florida, will be our guest from about 2 o'clock for a few minutes. So if you have any questions, feel free. Let's listen to now Crispin Gregoire. Crispin, from this morning.
I have not heard about any change. I was quite interested to hear that prime ministers of the two countries are giving a sense that the proclamation has been suspended in their favor. I have not seen any documentation to that. Of course, this happened on the weekend. These prime ministers were talking on the weekend, so it will be interesting to hear from the State Department and the White House this morning whether there has been any change. But from reading the proclamation, it is very clear that this action is not speaking about people who already have visas. If you already have a U.S. visa, you can travel to the U.S. Of course, there are risks because we don't know what will happen at the border post and how the immigration officer will ask you more questions than before. And they can determine, even though you have a visa, not to let you enter. The visa doesn't guarantee entry.
True.
So I'm kind of amused to hear that President Trump's there's a suspension of the proclamation as it relates to Dominica and Antigua and Barbuda. But I don't want to say anything adverse to what the prime ministers have said. I just want to be able to verify for myself and for the Dominican people in particular what is the reality of this situation. All that I know, Matt, is that as of January 1st, and that's coming up very, very soon, in 9 days, that visas for Dominican nationals have been suspended. The U.S. is not going to approve any new visas from January 1st going forward until such time that they're satisfied that Dominica is meeting their concerns. Of course, you know, Matt, how did we get there with the visas? It's the U.S. is simply following what is happening by the UK and Europe as far as Dominica's passports are concerned. The CBI, which some people have said, if not CBI, tell me what. Well, the CBI has landed us into a serious crisis so that our Dominican nationals who aspire to get visas to come to the U.S., that option is closed right now, Matt, as of the 1st of January. And I exhort the government of Dominica to tell us more. We're hearing a lot from Antigua, but we're not hearing anything about the Dominica ambassador in Washington. He seems to be not talking. So that's a concern. Whereas Antigua is taking a forward movement. But I'll tell you, as of now, Matt, I cannot underscore that any suspension has happened in the last couple of days.
You are a seasoned diplomat, sir. What are you telling yourself? Why do you think? A lot of reasons have been given as to why we have been imposed with some visa restrictions. What are you telling yourself? Or would you say that the government have not listened over the years when people had many concerns?
They have not, Matt. In fact, Dominica, that CBI program has a lot of deficiencies. The government of Dominica knows that. And one of the deficiencies that the State Department raised with them in March is that there are a number of passports that have been issued by Dominica in fake names. That's a real serious security breach right here. The second thing, Matt, is that there are a lot of people who are holding these Dominican passports who are deemed security threats. The U.S. mentioned 4 people in the last 6 weeks who have Dominican passports. And then there are a lot of people from various groups that have these passports. Like I was told recently, if you take a country called Kurdistan, but it's not a country, they're part of Iraq, but it's a kind of a semi-autonomous region, Kurdistan, that everybody in the government of Kurdistan has a Dominican passport.
Really?
Well.
Wow.
Yes. I was really shocked by that. And that includes even the Prime Minister Barzani of Kurdistan. Now, it's a semi-autonomous region located close to Turkey, but it's part of Iraqi territory. And all of these government officials, they have Dominican passports. Then you have people from Afghanistan with Dominican passports. You have a lot of people with Dominican passports that are questionable. And that raised a red flag many years. I mean, I remember Lennox Linton in his various inquiries about these holders of passports. He raised a lot of concerns. And these things are coming to roost right now, Matt. That's the reality of it. I would say in a larger context, the U.S. administration is opposed to the CBI. And their envoy, Mr. Grenell, who was Latin America envoy of the White House, he said that as early as February, that these CBI programs must go. And if the governments don't want to address that, then they will face the ultimate sanction. And now what has happened, the U.S. has implemented a visa requirement, or they have suspended the approval of visas for Dominican nationals. That's a serious situation, Matt. In our entire 46 years of independence, we have never faced that kind of scrutiny from the White House of the United States.
But first it was Canada, then the UK, and now the US. It's sending some serious messages across the world.
And Matt, there are 2 other countries I should mention. First, Ireland, after the UK, Ireland, which is a member of the Schengen region. And last week, Norway. The government of Norway has now put some sanctions on our passports. So visa-free entry is on its way to its funeral for Dominican nationals, for holders of Dominican passports. Now, that is not the natural-born Dominicans who created the problem. It is these CBI economic citizens that have created the problem for Dominica. So we have to ask ourselves now, if not CBI, tell us what? Because CBI is on its deathbed.
We'll take a few calls before the 2 o'clock hour. We expect you to join Tamika Jude, Dominican immigration lawyer based in Florida. Let's take a few calls. Hello, talk to me, huh?
Good afternoon, Matt.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Yeah, Matt, you know, the ambassador was expounding on the passports. But the problem with that is that we need to zoom in on the persons who issue that passport, even when the due diligence fails. We need to zoom in on who is that.
That's a very important point there. Yes.
Yes, Matt. And is it the security minister? Is it coming from Roosevelt Skerrit himself? Who is determining that someone is failing that due diligence and yet they're still getting a passport? Because Mr. Skerrit led us to believe that the due diligence was locked tight. It was like a safe. But yet we're seeing that it has failed so many times. So who is that person who is causing it to fail? Who has a key, but is still letting the crooks in? Thank you, Matt. Enough said.
Steve, we can take another phone call. Good afternoon to you, yes?
Matt, just quick. R.C., Lofty, Matt Pelte, Mr. Linton, Angelo Allen, Sheridan Gregg on them on, how they call it, Matt, the thing on Q.
Global View.
Global View on Q. Matt, who did not warn Matt and told us where we were heading? And as I said, what you're looking for is where you're looking from, Matt. These guys were, you remember Francine Barron when we asked about diplomats with our passports, Matt?
Mm-hmm.
She just did not tell us go to hell, but it's the same thing. It's not our business. I mean, it's not something you can put in the public. Where it is right now. So all who warned and people think, oh, you just want to destroy Dominica, or you don't want development, and you have all kinds of things to say. Look at Matt. Look at push. The chickens has come home to roost, and push come to shove, and we are collectively going to get trampled. While we were thinking it was a political thing, it was a national security concern. And the criminals knew that. They politicized the whole thing to make people to believe, oh, we just don't want, and people are saying, if not passport is what? Not is not passport is what now? Visa? Have a best one. Matt dies.
Oh, Kranana, you're kitchen to Kranana. That's what you want. That's what the song you want. Okay, I'll play it for you in a minute there. Oh boy, let's do this one there again. Let me try to see if we can get that song. For blessings to that song. Hey, Black Pepper, I see you calling, but I'm waiting for this lawyer from the U.S. and maybe you'll chime in sometime after, okay? I'm just waiting for her to connect and then we'll have a conversation in the next 2 minutes. So stick around. I think it's Marvin Sheldon Bowen who says, talking is not resistance. We always talking. Always something new to talk about. Mobilize, organize against Roosevelt Skerrit and force his resignation, arrest and charge for treason. Mr. Marvin Sheldon Boland. Somebody reminds me of what a statement Mr. Aaron made, Ambassador Aaron made a couple of years ago. He said, politics has no truth. It was not Dice, it was Who Played 2015.
What's happening, my man? My good friend Carl came down to Dominica, first time in a long time. I don't know why he vexed with man like Hunter. Is with me he chose to line. Everywhere we went, he had disappointment upon disappointment. So he stood on the pavement and he began to vent. It is Dominican American. What a lovely beast, man. What I see in there, I can't find that right.
I think that Dice spoke about Decale. That's one. Hello, talk to me. Yeah.
Matt,
Yes.
unfortunately, we have these people who are authorizing these things and their names seem to be hiding. We need to uncover them. Who is that person? We need to know the person. Do you think that Roosevelt Skerrit will do to that person what he did to the lady from Castle Bruce when she established diplomatic ties with Syria? Will he do that to them? Or will he say he didn't authorize it and his person authorized it illegally and punish them? That is where we have to go, man. Good afternoon.
You know the labor between workers and labor, and that's it got over. He said those fellas, they don't like Dominica. It's what they do in there. Without agriculture, we have nothing to offer. We come like a beggar. An old banana farmer, say to find his empty years, he find himself banging a hand of green banana. What the heck is this, man? What I see in there? I can't find a right banana in Dominica. Just like Canada and America. It's only grapes and apples I see selling everywhere. Yo, kids, no banana. Uber mala. And the diaspora. No banana. The books are like kids, don't make banana. And this is kind of nonsense. So stop the books and
The great Buplé.
After all gone mad, the workers manifest a promise to revive agriculture and bring back banana. But the diaspora, see pala, they keep in their labor. No, the people from La Blanca, they will stop on Chufuriye, Mamo and Loda. And the rest of Dominica, see the suspect is over that making them afraid to protest for banana. Really? What a lovely piece, man. What I see in there, I can't find a right banana in Dominica. Just like Canada and America, it's only grapes and apples I see selling everywhere. Yo, kids, they no banana. Uber mala and the diaspora. Le books are like it's a public.
Hardware and home improvement, building supplies for you, kitchen appliances, even home decor too. Lumber, lawn, all your garden supplies, plumbing, welding, electrical supplies.
Visit Do It Center at the former J. Nassif Hardware location on Goodwill Road. Call us at 255-6890. Do it Center.
Right on time here, of course. Tamika Jude is joining us this afternoon.
Yeah.
I'm here.
The last time we heard from Tamika Jude, I won't say a Dominican, we are proud to have her with us on the line. Guabe should be proud at this time. Grand Bay, man. Take a ball. Tamika Jude from the South. U.S. immigration attorney. So let's say a special good afternoon to you, Tamika. I heard you on the weekend, sounding good, sounding strong. How are you this afternoon?
Good afternoon. I'm doing fine. Just keeping very busy.
I suspect you're very, very busy. Tell the people who you are and give us a little background. I know you introduced yourself on the weekend, and I'm sure on Facebook you've had many, interactions with the people. Kind of give us a quick background of who you are.
Hey, my name is Tamika Jude. I am originally from the village of Tetmorn. I grew up in Wallhouse. I went to Dominica State College, and then I went to the University of the Virgin Islands, and then I went to law school at Barry University in Orlando, Florida. I graduated from law school, and I've been doing immigration law since. And I've helped countless people, Dominicans, people from Australia, India, even countries in the world that some people may have never heard about. I've actually helped these people to regularize their status in the United States.
Is it the same Tamika Jude that was involved with QTS some time ago?
Yes, I was a contestant on the QTS show a few years ago before I migrated.
Yes, I remember that. You still have that voice?
Yep, I still sing.
Oh, you still sing. Well, don't sing for us this afternoon. We'll take it on some other time. Well, we're here to talk about, of course, this whole visa issue. The last post I saw from you, it stated clearly that the U.S. has not yet announced a suspension. And when they do, I'll make another post. I'm aware of what the prime ministers have said, but as someone who works in the U.S. immigration system, I can tell you that unless the president or the State Department or Department of Homeland Security post a policy update, those promises made by our leaders will not be upheld. Can you speak to that again, Tamika?
Okay, so I am not in a position to say, because a lot of people, that's the question a lot of people are asking. And I guess the burning question is, was there any veracity to those statements? And it is possible that they did have a meeting and they were told that, there would be some suspension. However, whenever there is a suspension, whenever there is a change to how policy is being applied, an update is always published by the respective entities. One of the things people were asking was, I did post over the weekend about the Department of State actually posted an update on their website explaining the policy, and Dominica was again listed on the list of countries that are obviously going to be put under restrictions. The Department of State is responsible for visa issuance. Their statement said in no uncertain terms that they would not be issuing visas to Dominicans as visitors visas, business visitors visas, student visas, J1 visas. They made it very clear that they would not be issuing visas to Dominicans. There was nowhere in their update where they stated that they were going to suspend or postpone Dominica being on that list. And that is the information that I can move forward with. Customs and Border Patrol is the agency responsible for determining whether or not Dominicans will be allowed into the United States, if at all, or under what terms, under what circumstances. So the question everyone keeps asking is, what happens to people with existing visas? Historically, the previous proclamation was issued in June of 2025, effective June 9th, 2025. And at that time, Customs and Border Patrol did post an update on their website stating the countries that were on the ban, the effective date, and all the exceptions. Until that document is posted, we again cannot assume that there is some suspension, because that'll be making an assumption with no written, no valid evidence. Because if I go to the airport and they deny me entry into the US, I cannot tell them that Roosevelt Skerritt or Gaston Brown said that this is suspended. That is foolish. It's a different position if you have it in writing somewhere official. You can point out to them, hey, my country was included, but here's some official communique that shows that my country is not. Basically, that was somehow suspended. So at this time, there is still no evidence of any suspension. As a matter of fact, I had 5 different Dominican clients in 5 different states who were turned away from their green card interviews between Friday and this morning. As early as this morning, I had an immigration officer actually speak to me and let me know that they would not be conducting any type of green card interviews or naturalization interviews ceremonies for Dominicans at this time due to our inclusion on the list. They are waiting for headquarters to issue some guidance to the field officers on how to proceed with Dominican cases. So as of now, they have already stopped the adjudication. There have already been some issues for immigrant visa applications where I've had to tell the embassy that this is not effective until January to try to force them to issue these visas. They have basically just stopped working on a lot of the Dominican cases so that they could not have an interview for these people, so these people could not get a green card.
So what do you tell people? I mean, there's still a lot of anxious people, wanting to travel. What do you tell people with visas currently as we speak?
Well, the proclamation did carve out an exception for people with valid visas on the date that the proclamation is effective. However, that exception does not mean that you are going to just be guaranteed entry into the United States. Even if you've been to the United States 20 times before, they will still sometimes allow you to board, because the way they usually do it for countries with a ban is they deny boarding in advance to some people. However, if you do get to the United States at a port of entry, you will most likely be sent to what is called secondary inspection, where they are going to do a more detailed vetting, basically. So they would ask you, who's paying for your trip? Where are you going to live? How long do you plan on staying? They would want to see your return ticket. If you're working, they may ask to see some sort of communication from your job that shows you did have the time off For people who probably have a US citizen spouse and they have a visa who's probably trying to visit their spouse, these people may have a lot more difficulties entering because once you're on the list, there's heightened scrutiny and the officers can deny you entry for any reason. And there are some officers who don't care that your visa is valid and don't care that it's a partial restriction. Once they see the word Dominica, they may deny you entry just on that premise. So people who are anxious to travel, I would just give it a little bit of time for things to normalize. The Prime Minister has announced that there's a suspension. If the Department of State does not know about the suspension, I did speak with somebody from CBPS this morning. I sent him a message to tell him that, hey, my prime minister is saying that it was suspended. He said, according to the information that they have, there has been no suspension for Dominica. So I think people should hold off a little bit because you can't travel on the premise that my prime minister said. There has to be some sort of official memo or communication coming from the people who have to give that authorization and notification to the agencies.
So you'll wait for the Prime Minister to get something in writing and, of course, send that out and let the people know that he got that in writing. That's your point.
Pretty much. Or just wait, monitor the U.S. websites. The Customs and Border Patrol is the agency who will probably issue, I think they should probably be doing it this week, who will issue something stating that, if you have an existing visa. Now, the language on that always says they will honor the visas, but that doesn't mean they're going to let you in. So just make sure that you have all your ducks in a row. If you plan to go to the United States for 2 weeks, don't be traveling with 5 suitcases. If you're going to the United States on vacation, do not travel with your passport and other documents that would not your passport, I mean your birth certificate and other documents that they would consider to be documents that you would be carrying because you do not plan to return home. So you just have to be very careful.
All right, let's see if we can take a few calls. I know a lot of people want to ask questions. I'm going to allow for some questions this afternoon before we let you off. Good afternoon to you on the telephone. Are you there? Caller, are you there? No, you're not there. So, of course, let's continue the conversation with Tam. And also, this proclamation speaks to the green card holders as well, Tamika. Yes?
Yes, green card holders are able to travel under the law and the applicable statutes. They cannot deny entry of a lawful permanent resident unless they are somehow inadmissible or the officer has deemed that that permanent resident has abandoned their permanent resident status. I know a lot of Dominicans playing this game of staying in Dominica for 6 months and running back to the United States for a week and going back. This is a very dangerous time to play that game.
Okay, let's see what together. Are you there, caller? Are you there, caller? I'm trying to make a connection there, but nobody there. Let's try another call. Are you there, caller? Hello, go ahead.
Matthew, let me say blessings to the Empress. I can remember her, Matt, when you asked her and she said who she was.
Tamika, yeah.
Matthew, blessings to you and all the best to you, my darling. Matthew, see how deceptive Gaston Brown is insinuating the same thing, Matt. That the whole sanctioning and restrictions of visa on Dominican, Antigua, he said they're too skilled. He said they're too skilled. They'll always use the negotiation and what. And then he said politically skilled. He realized, like as if when it's bad, they can diplomatically extricate themselves from the convoluted and twisted and mangled wreck, Matt. So you listen to the Empress, they're saying, you cannot take that to an embassy. You can take that to some immigration official and say, my prime minister say. That's how deceptive and diabolic and criminally minded they are. Thank you.
All right, we're here. Good afternoon again. Blessings. It's 2:18 in the afternoon again. Anybody who has a question, feel free to give us a call. No, somebody's asking some weird questions on Facebook. 449-3095-9697. And of course, 616-4257. She's here and she's ready to answer your questions. So feel free to give a call. Everybody seems to be playing quiet this afternoon here because the lawyer is right here on the telephone. And of course, with StreamYard, and we can connect with her as we speak. So she's telling you to tread carefully if you plan to travel to the United States. That's the caution here. tread carefully. Right, Tamika? Are you still there? Hello? We seem to have lost her for a minute there. Tamika, I suspect your mic is mute, so unmute your mic, please. Are you back with us? Hello, yes? Tamika, are you there? Yeah, I just sent a message, I think. On the telephone. Hello, talk to me, yes? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Matt.
Good afternoon to you, yes.
You know, I doesn't really call like before, but when it's them kind of topics there, I just call to give in my little contribution. Second of all, I want to say good afternoon to Miss Tika Jude Esquire. This young, I don't want to address as this young lady. The young lady there, I've been following her for about 5 years from during the COVID and Asa had the little, you understand, it was like lockdown and everybody was singing until after the COVID went away. Then after now, Asa had a thing like for the change for change and the matching. If Asa raised 3,000, she raised 3,000. And I can tell you, Matt, you see this young lady in studio, trust me, if after what she's saying there, which I know because I follow her, I'm one of her followers from inception. So if after I hear Clarence and them come and talk and make no nonsense or say anything on the radio and people just refute into that, but trust me, this Dominica is like the dumb in our name, we're real dumb. And the Prime Minister, as I say, I'm not in politics thing again. I'm not feeding myself, I'm not in labor thing. But what I can say, what the PM do Friday in the opening of the thing with Melissa in Goodwill, I disappointed. As I say, I'm not in politics because I have enough haters already. I want to talk the truth, is like a problem. But I know I follow in the US State Department / this Tika Jude lady. So after that, if I have no mileage from tonight on Bottom Brain program, tomorrow on Simeon and Clarence and Carissa and Wednesday, well, Dominica, the GOM, we real dumb, but I exceptional, I'm not any dumb. Good afternoon.
Tamika, are you still there? Hello? We seem to have disconnected here. We're trying to get her back on the line. I suspect your microphone is mute, Tamika. Tammy, are you there now? We seem to be.
Yes, I'm here, Matt.
Sorry. We seem to have lost you for a minute there. Hello, talk to me on the telephone. Are you there? Yes.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Matt.
Good afternoon to you, yes.
Now this young lady song really, really good, and I too really follow. I follow those things happening on the social media, through America, and all what the lady saying some true. You cannot say about something suspend that is suspend something and just take the word of the prime minister. Prime Minister Steph have never told me to Dominicans. Not no. Now he's in hot water. You think it's now he don't even sure if he's talking to or lie or something like that. Right? So what people have to do now, Dominicans have a right now to step up. Step up. Let's tell Scared enough is enough. And he bring Dominica to the dump. We finished Dominica name. Dominica is now nobody but here. Nobody in the world want to see Dominica. Nobody want Dominica to enter into their country. Oh, what a shame. What a shame, Scary. Can I do the honorable thing? And that's okay. I failed. So let me just give somebody else a chance. That's all. And Dominica will move. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, somebody's asking Tamika there, is there a possibility that the State Department is late in updating their website? Question.
I mean, they updated it on Friday the 19th, right? So, like I said previously, they gave an update on Friday, and that was after we had heard from the leaders that there was some suspension. However, like I said, let's wait to see what happens this week. But I think it's very funny that it would be an issue with them updating the website if USCIS and also consular officers and also CBP is saying that there has been no suspension. I don't understand how they would have suspended it but told nobody that they would suspend it. That's kind of the issue here. Because USCIS and DHS and CBP, I'm using acronyms here. USCIS is the agency that issues green cards in the United States. Department of State will issue green cards and passports to US citizens outside of the United States. And CBP is the agency that is responsible for letting people into the United States. So if the president decided to suspend the proclamation, he would have to notify the people that are issuing the green cards and issuing the visas. Because if he doesn't notify them, then they are going to act on that proclamation. So it is possible that maybe they had already updated their website by the time they got news that there has been some suspension. But I'm not saying that the suspension does not exist. I have been very careful and meticulous in how I explain this. I am saying that at this time, they have not yet given that update. However, when they give that update, of course, I will then say, hey guys, this is the update. I've been monitoring the appropriate channels because as an attorney, we have insight into different systems. I have been monitoring it. And as of today, no. There are other countries on that list, like Antigua, where attorneys are having issues with their clients right now, with the embassy, with USCIS. So if there is a suspension, it does not seem to have already been communicated. But it is not very, for example, when there's a lawsuit and the court says USCIS can no longer do this, within days or hours, they post something on the website saying that it's postponed. Just like when they tried to end the Haitian TPS, the moment the court said that they could not end it, they posted something to say it is going to be valid until February. So that is how these agencies operate. So my words right now, what I'm saying is based on an in-depth knowledge of how these organizations work, these agencies work, and how they relay information. Because if it is suspended, then as an attorney, I need something solid. Like the clients I had that their interviews were canceled, I need something solid because I can't go to them and say, my prime minister said it's suspended. Because I did ask the officer this morning, and he said, no, they have received no communication from the White House, from anybody saying that there has been a suspension. So I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm just saying it has not yet been communicated. So that's why I'm saying hold off on trying to, the visas and all of that. Just give it a little bit of time so that they can update their systems and announce that suspension. If it is never announced, it is safe to say that it does not exist, and that if you do try to travel to the United States, that you will still face that scrutiny, that if you have a green card application, obviously it's going to be delayed. or it may be denied, or you may be put in administrative processing if it's something with the embassy. That's basically what I'm saying. I'm not saying that it's not possible that they just haven't updated. I'm just saying until it's updated, you have to act under the assumption that it was not suspended.
Let's see if we can take another phone call. Are you there, caller? Yes. Caller.
Yeah, good afternoon to the audience. How
Yeah.
you doing, brother?
All right, my brother. How you doing?
Yeah. Yeah. Mark, I think one thing we have to keep at the front. You hear me clearly?
Yes, go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Are you hearing me?
I'm hearing you clearly.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead. Yes.
One thing we have to understand, Mark. Yeah, one thing we have to understand is we have to look at things in context. Trump plays gunboat diplomacy. In gunboat diplomacy, as extreme as you can, force the person to come to the bargaining table and you move. These guys can talk all the talk they want. Any changes there, they have to give in. That's simple. That's as simple as it gets. Any changes there, they have to give in. Otherwise, the principle, I think one of the things that these guys missed in any of these islands was to come to the people with the question. For instance, the Cuban doctor issue. Get to the people. Are they willing to sacrifice on behalf of this? I think those kinds of things should have taken place. Let the people make the decision, not the leaders, the people.
No, let me put that question to you there, Mr. Zed Lloyd. If you were Prime Minister Skerrit to get out of this hole, what would you do? Are you there?
I didn't hear you, Mark.
He said, if you were Prime Minister Skerrit to get out of this hole, what would you do? Are you still on the hand?
Well, I want to engage them.
Yes, I'm asking you, and of course, Tamika is on the line. I'm asking you. Are you there? Are you there?
I'm hearing totally clearly, but what I'm going to say, since I don't want to, is that
I'm asking you again for the final time, Mr. Zed Lloyd. I'm saying, if you were Prime Minister Skerrit, what would you do to get out of that hole?
Yeah, that is what I'm saying. The problem is the absence of democracy that is at play there again. This is a critical situation that affects the people's lives. And so all those 6 months, all those whatever, those were the kinds of conversations that this is A and this is B and this is C, because that is what it is. You either are going to make the sacrifice or you are going to work with because these people want. So it should be a people's answer to all these things. That is what is absent, I find, among these leaders. And that to me is problematic. The Cuban people are there with you. Are the people willing to sacrifice in respect of Cuba?
Well, we have seen, though, if you're still listening to me, have seen that, of course, Antigua has made a change. They've sent back the Cuban brigade, and of course, they're now taking nurses from Ghana. So they may have felt the squeeze as well. So, but Antigua started acting.
Yeah. I mean, the ultimate movement that happened in the region is for Cuba, Mark, and Venezuela is the supporter. So the ultimate movement on this, and so it is the shutting down of Cuba.
But I suspect we're breaking up, Zed, and we may have to take another call because I'm not hearing you too clearly. Are you there, caller? 449-3095-96. And Tamika, what are the reasons that you're hearing that, of course, we are in the hole that we are this time? What are the reasons that you're hearing from your colleagues?
Well, the reasons that were published was lack of, I guess, the vetting. They don't think that there is adequate vetting in the CBI program. I know a lot of people have been mentioning the fact that there was, Dominica being asked to pick a side with regards to Cuba and Venezuela, but the Prime Minister has never come out to say that that was a deciding factor or played a role in this. So I cannot say anything different from what has been, published online. I try to not pick the side of rumors over facts. So until I see anything else different from like an official source, I have to just say that it's because the US was not satisfied with how we vet our CBI program due to the fact that several individuals with, I guess, criminal backgrounds have somehow gotten Dominican passports.
All right, let's see if we can take another phone call. Are you there, caller? Yes. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Matt. Matt, I'd like to know what restriction they put on the people with the United States passport. Is there any restriction for the United States citizens?
Any restrictions on U.S. citizens, so Dominican passports? Are you there?
No, there is no restriction on U.S. citizens. They cannot, by law, restrict them, United States citizens. So even if you're a citizen of Dominica, even if you're a dual citizen of Dominica and the U.S., when you enter the U.S., you can only enter on a U.S. passport, and by virtue of being a citizen, you cannot be denied entry.
All right, chat. Let me see if I can play a voice note here. Stick around.
Tamika, big up yourself. Big up yourself. Congratulations. I'm so proud of you. So, question to Tamika. I'm asking for a friend. If you have a felony and has a green card, can you come Dominica for carnival? I'm asking for a friend. She has a felony and she wants to go for carnival. Under Obama and Joe Biden, she could have gone. But can she come? No. Should she take the risk to come for carnival? You don't do carnival, is it? Okay, that's my question, sweetheart. And to make no boy, no girl bad you up on the social media. Okay. I still want to cuss you. Be proud of yourself. You're immigration, to blood clot, immigration lawyer, up pussy, mad things. Scary to tell you are the world boss. Do something for us now. And you and Gaston are the world boss.
No, Tamika, that's a very interesting question. This lady's asking if you have a felony, you're a felon, and of course you want to come for carnival. What advice would you give?
It depends on what the felony is, but generally, some felonies do make you inadmissible to the United States, and a lot of times people fly under the radar. But right now, with this increased scrutiny, it's not impossible that CBP will lock you up and put you in immigration detention, only for you to have to find a lawyer to say that you're not inadmissible. I just would not risk it right now. What you need to do is find an immigration attorney, figure out if you can naturalize, how you can naturalize, and get that done if you can. If you cannot naturalize, then you should not be flying to Dominica. I understand it's fun, but I mean, it's up to you if you want to take that risk. If you're okay with coming back to develop your country, if they don't let you into the US, that's fine. But if that is not something that is going to work for you, then I strongly suggest you speak with an immigration attorney, criminal attorney, because there are ways to do something called post-conviction relief to get those felonies reversed. But again, you need to get those answers. It's not a yes or no answer without more specific details.
Thank you very much. Let's take another phone call. The calls are coming in at this time. Hello, talk to me, yes?
Matt, good afternoon to you and to
Tamika. Yeah, Tamika
yes,
Jude, yes.
Yes. I want to congratulate and thank her for coming on to explain to us. I think we did this thing, and we need to have a very open and civil discussion on this matter. It's a very important matter. But in terms of, in the proclamation says that persons with green card holders and visa holders at present are not in the thing. They're not part of what is being said. What is said is those who are applying. So I do not know what that was suspended. I do not know what is, because what I got from Antigua, from the Prime Minister, is visa holders, green card and visa holders, present visa holders and green card holders. So that is a thing, but that's already in the proclamation. So what are they talking about that was suspended? I have no idea what is it talking about. It is the application between now and the 1st of January. I do not know. So can you please explain that? It is the application to apply for a visa or green card between now and January 1st that was suspended. Thank you so much, Mark.
Can you speak to that? Hello? Tamika? I don't know what happened again. Tamika? don't know what's going on there. We'll try to connect again. We seem to have lost Tamika there. Gonna take a quick break. We'll come right back. Stick around, Tamika. Stick around. Stick around.
Dominicans, enjoy your property, protect your property. You homeowner and businessman, protect your property, enjoy your property. Can't wait for the hurricane, can't wait till you flood again, can't wait till your roof fly out and all your business coming out. Remember, no insurance company will insure your property when a storm is approaching. Get ahead of the hurricane season and insure with a company who gives you the assurance of payment for your valid claim. Come speak with us today at the New India Assurance Company Limited, upstairs AC Shillingford and Company Limited, 24 King George Street, Roseau. Bring along an up-to-date valuation from a qualified engineer and get insured today.
I know every year you guys have a delegates conference. Will that be taking place?
Yes, Matt. Actually, it's due on the 14th. We will be having a delegates.
If you know quality, then you must know the manufacturers of Dominica's finest rums. Belfast Estate Limited, over 80 years leading the industry with exceptional standards and formidable customer service. We present the manufacturers of BB Rum, Soca Rum, Red Cap Rum, Cask Rum, and the signature Belfast Estate Rum Punch. With island-wide distribution daily, Belfast Estate Limited has cemented its mark as the distributor of choice for products like Eldorado range of rums and creams, Kubali Bear, Corona Bear, Guinness, Root Boy drink, and of course the Sunblast juices, Toppers snacks, Vitamalt, and Pine Hill juices. Call the office at 440-7032 or visit the distribution outlet at Jimmy Dominica. Follow on Facebook or Instagram at Belfast Estate. Belfast Estate Limited, your leading manufacturer and distributor of rums in Dominica.
Hardware and home improvement, building supplies for you, kitchen appliances, even home decor too. Lumber, lawn, all your garden supplies, plumbing, welding, electrical supplies.
Visit Do It Center at the former J. Nassif Hardware location on Goodwill Road. Call us at 255-6890.
All right, Dominica, we're still waiting. Of course, she just informed me she's going through a bad area in terms of the signal, so she'll connect again in a few minutes. I'm just getting some word there. Unconfirmed, unconfirmed. It looks like a criminal has held up a employee of the Campbell Village Council as she came to with the monies to pay the pauper's allowance. Reports indicate she was given a blow to her head and is currently at the hospital. So that's the latest information coming to me right now. I'm hoping to connect with Tamika in a minute here. I just got a note there from Mr. Thompson Fontaine who said, Matt, given the issue of the U.S. travel ban and the confusion caused by the recent announcement of the Prime Minister and the proclamation being suspended, I'll be traveling very soon to hold discussions with U.S. authorities with a view to obtaining clarity on the ongoing information. Dr. Thompson Fontaine says he's on his way to Washington very soon to update more or to get more clarification on the matter. I'll still wait for Tamika to give me a signal if she's ready or when she's ready, and then we'll connect with her again. Let's take another phone call. Are you there, caller?
Matt, tell her, watch the thing. ICE is deporting Americans who were born in America because they have foreign immigrants as parents. Okay.
I'm just waiting to connect with Tamika. She says she's going through a area where we have no communication, so she's talking to me on the telephone here. Hello, talk to me, yes?
Yeah, Matt, can you hear me?
I'm hearing you much clearer, yes. Much clearer, yes.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Sorry, I couldn't engage you. We were losing each other back and forth. But Matt, you see, like I say, these things are based on decisions, and they're not surprises to the people in power, Matt. What is absent is the people were not communicated with. Because to communicate with the people about these things would be to have to admit mistakes that led to these things. And the majority of mistakes that led to these things are on the government and really by extension, largely on the Prime Minister. And so that's why, so these things were not to be surprises. These things were conversations that were supposed to take place with us. Because they know. You understand? They know. And what's sad, you know what is the saddest part about all of this thing, Matt? And just give me a second. Of this whole, all of these things coming up to that CBI thing and all. The sad part about all of these things in it is that the amount of money that came from that CBI program, it did not transform Dominica. And it's not just Dominica alone, Antigua, all these places. The volume of money that traveled through the entire OECS as a collective CBI entity has not transformed the OECS in the mannerism that amount of money was supposed to transform that region, and as a single economy, unit currency, good stabilization, all the perfect conditions for successful first world economic level. You understand? And that is the sad part about it. Like, I wish we had committed the sin and the money had benefited Dominica much more economically.
All right, caller. Well, thank you very much again. It's 2:45, almost done. I think Tamika's just joined us again. Tamika,
Yes,
sorry
I'm here.
for the break. But yeah, you're here. And more questions coming. People with U.S. citizens, who are U.S. citizens, asking whether it's going to affect them. We heard that question before. Green card holders and people with visas. And you're saying effective January 1, Tamika, everything will change. Everything will change.
Yes, but citizens should be fine. Green card holders should be fine. I think the last person was asking before I cut off. I think he was asking if somebody can apply for a visa or something like that. I didn't really hear the question.
Yes, if they can apply for a visa, or if the applications will still go through if before January 30.
I mean, the applications would still go through as long as you get your green card before that date. The issue is they're denying them indiscriminately right now. So I'm not exactly sure if somebody would be actually granted a visa, because Department of State is known to do this foolishness where they kind of just wait out for the effective date of these things. So they don't want to issue it, so they just tell you, they'll tell you send your passport. They'll wait until January to tell you that because January 1st has passed, they're not able to issue. And it's the same for if you have a family member who files for you. They are going to say after January 1st, as of now, unless it actually is suspended, they're not going to be giving you that green card.
When do you expect, if any time, this will change?
It will change when we get off the list. I mean, if we don't get off the list, there's also no guarantee that the next president of the United States will even reverse this, or if this will even be a priority for them.
So that would mean that we have to end the CBI. Then the question being asked: if not CBI, then what?
Well, I think that's something for the politicians to figure out. What their next moves will be, to be honest. But I don't think they asked them to end CBI. I think it's just a matter of vetting.
Vetting issue.
Yeah, I don't think they actually would have expected them to just a complete ending. You know what I mean?
I understand. You can phase it out if you want to, but you have to be very careful how you handle CBI going forward. That's basically the problem.
Yes.
Be very, very, very careful. Again, any questions you have to ask? We have to go in a minute. Are you there, caller? Yes. Hello. Yes?
Yes, Matt.
Yes.
This greedy government will not phase out nothing.
because they know they for their pockets, and that is it. And thank you for this nice lady that is there doing that good work. Congratulations.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. All right. I'm reading a note there, and troublesome Al is saying, Matt, you know that has nothing to do with CBI. Is Al correct? My friend Tamika, Al is saying that's nothing to do with the CBI.
I mean, Al may know something that we don't know. So I guess maybe he has some inside information from the White House, but Al cannot expect me, at least, to come on the radio and say that it has nothing to do with CBI unless I've actually received some sort of official source saying so. In my profession, I deal with facts and evidence. So, Al, if you have the evidence, you can send it to me. And it's not a matter of, oh, it's common sense and based on the timing. Those things don't necessarily relate to it being true. So if Al has the evidence, I think I know which Al it is. I think Al has been commenting on everything I post. Al, you should send me the evidence, and then I can make a video for you with the evidence that you've given me. Because as you can see from every single time I've posted, I always post with evidence. So when you bring me some evidence, then I can sing a different tune.
Earlier, of course, we played a video as it relates to green card holders December 26. They're saying that things may change on December 26. Do you have any information about that?
Things may change for them with regards to what exactly?
The green card holders, things may change. Things may get tighter, in other words. I'll send you that video so you have a review of that. So,
Okay,
I we'll
I
send you
can
that
look
video.
at it.
Okay, no problem. Hello on the telephone. Yes.
Hello, man. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you, young lady. I wanted to ask a question for clarification. What I wanted to ask, if you have a visa, right? You have a visa that's not expired. Now, should we still tread lightly? For example, if I have my visa is not expired, I want to travel tomorrow. Is it automatic that I'll get in, or I can still be stopped?
Good
It
question.
isn't. Okay, that's a very good question. It is not automatic that anybody can get in. Not even green card holders. It's not automatic that you're going to get in. You may, if they don't, like, according to your answers, sometimes your travel history, they may not send you to secondary inspection. Proclamation isn't even supposed to be effective until January, so they may not. But I did have 2 people from Dominica who traveled into Miami, and they were told by the officer that the next time they're coming into the States, they need to have written proof of the reason for their trip. So that is a new development for people with a visa, but it's not guaranteed. But most likely, as long as you're not going over there to do anything illegal, then you should be fine. But just know that after January, you're going to face very rigorous vetting and questioning, and going to secondary inspection is not a very pretty thing. I've gone through it myself.
I know.
So I understand how that happens, but there's no guarantee that you won't be sent to secondary inspection. And I can't just tell you, okay, no, you're just going to be let in, because there's no way to guarantee that.
Yes, you can go through. I've gone to secondary screening myself, but I remember at the time I was 10 days on my passport, so I had to make sure went in and go back out. So you have to have information that you can move with. That's the point. 4493095. Are you there, caller? Yes.
Hello.
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, I have some first-hand information. My son went to the embassy this morning in New York to get his citizenship, and he was turned away only because he was Dominican born.
Heard that?
He was turned away he was denied his interview for citizenship this morning because he was Dominican born.
Tamika, you heard that?
Well, yes, Matt, and I actually told you that it's been happening to my own clients too. So I'm very aware, and that is actually true. They are not interviewing Dominicans right now.
You're not surprised?
No, it's happened to my own clients. Like, it's been happening. We have St. Lucians, not St. Lucians, sorry, Antiguans getting turned away, Nigerians. And the thing is, another whole thing about this whole suspension of the proclamation thing, They would have to, they didn't tell us whether or not the US said they're going to suspend the proclamation just to Dominica and Antigua, or if the entire proclamation is suspended. We do not have even enough information to look into that. But as far as the agencies are concerned, there is no suspension. And because they do not yet have their guidance as to how they're going to handle these cases, they are not allowing Dominicans to be interviewed at this time.
Very, very, very interesting information here, Dominica. But I suspect, Tamika, that you will continue to monitor and update us with more information as soon as it becomes available, yeah?
Definitely.
Because there's still a lot of anxious Dominicans at this stage, you know, wondering if they should travel or not. So as you said, maybe by the end of the week, you might get an update and update us accordingly.
Yeah, hopefully by the end of the week, we have something. I keep telling people all the time that it's not black and white. It is not as simple as people are thinking it is. It doesn't even, at this point, I don't even know if it matters so much as to why we ended up on the list. I think the bigger issue now is how do we get off the list? There is a 6-month review process. If we're able to do whatever they're asking us to do within that 6 months, it is possible that Dominica could get off the list in 6 months. However, there is nothing built into the proclamation that allows a country to get off that list before that review period. So again, following the law and what it is at this time, it's not official yet that anything has been suspended. And based on the behavior of the agencies, it clearly shows that they have not been informed of any suspension.
I want to say thank you again, Tamika Jude. We're proud of you and continue to doing the good work. I just heard from your coach, your music coach, you still have a good voice. So continue singing, okay?
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Simeon Joseph just told me she still have a good voice, so a singing voice. So we'll talk to you sometime soon. Take care now.
No problem. Bye.
Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye. Yes, Tamika was one of the participants in the QTS a few years ago.
We are open 7 days a week with the top of the line products. Well stocked
supermarket and pharmacy, health and beauty care, fresh produce and meat prepared daily, hot and cold kitchen, ready to go meals, sandwiches, salads, and desserts at your fingertips. Easy access, located on the bayfront, environment friendly, and our staff are approachable and ready to assist. Have you figured out who we are? You got it. Fresh Market, your one stop. Fresh Market,
You know quality, then you must know the manufacturers of Dominica's finest rums. Belfast Estate Limited, over 80 years leading the industry with exceptional standards and formidable customer service. We present the manufacturers of BB Rum, Soca Rum, Red Cap Rum, Cask Rum, and the signature Belfast Estate Rum Punch. With island-wide distribution daily, Belfast Estate Limited has cemented its mark as the distributor of choice for products like Eldorado range of rums and creams, Kubali Bear, Corona Bear, Guinness, Root Boy drink, and of course, Sunblast juices, Toppers snacks, Vitamalt, and Pine Hill juices. Call the office at 440-7032 or visit the distribution outlet at Jimmy Dominica. Follow on Facebook or Instagram at Belfast Estate. Belfast Estate Limited, your leading manufacturer and distributor of rums in Dominica.
Know your favorite store? Dial it now. 612-1253. That's Mega. You can rely on Mega for some real deals on name brand clothing and electronics. High quality, low price. We are a wholesale and retail store located in Calabishi, right on the main road. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram at Mega Deals Dominica. Like our page. Check out our stuff. Call us. Visit us. Would appreciate that. Come try it on. Love it. Buy it at Mega Deals. Your one and only online and brick and mortar store. Mega Deals is also on wheels. We make it convenient for your shopping. We deliver straight to your door. Email us at info@megadealsda.com. Rely on Mega Deals for some real deals.
Of course, we shared the news earlier that an employee of the Campbell Village Council, of course, came up with monies to pay Papa's allowance, and she was given a blow on her head and is currently at the Princess Margaret Hospital. We're following that story very, very carefully. So no Christmas money appears for this Papa's in Campbell. Very interesting, huh? The level of crime in this country. Somebody said, maybe I think the Dominicans should start applying to visas to China and Venezuela, especially the labor rights, since they say America is not in it anymore. It's 2:41. Let's take a few calls. Vice notes before we wrap it up at 3:15. Let's go.
Hi, Matt. Good afternoon to you, all Dominicans.
Good afternoon to
and
you.
your guest, Tika. I want to thank this young attorney for giving us a full rundown on the proclamation regarding the visa and on Dominica, which is to take effect in January of 2026. Matt, after today, if anyone, any Dominican says that they are not, or they have not understood what this involves, it's because they want to remain ignorant of the facts, Matt. But, I listened to Roosevelt Skerrit on DBS radio, and I said, yes, that is what you call disinformation, misinformation, and malinformation. Why was Skerrit so comfortable to go to DBS, to have DBS, air that, misinformation? It's because he thinks that he has successfully polluted the information environment in Dominica in many different ways. So the information itself is genuine, but what Skerrit has done is use it out of context where it appears the suspension has been reversed. Knowingly, he is conveying a lie. And his whole intent clearly was to manipulate the Dominican people, mainly his supporters, in an attempt, Matt, to make it himself less culpable, to make it look like, this is not falling squarely at my feet. I am not the one who caused that, but look, I can mitigate some of the discomfort. No, Roosevelt Skerrit, you are the one who brought that on Dominicans. In 2017, Matt, we formed a delegation and we went to Washington, D.C. to find out what was on Roosevelt's carrot. After the CBS 2 aired that news about Reza Monfared, and this other Chinese man. And Matt, when we heard that, it prompted us to go to Washington, D.C. to ask questions for ourselves, to find out what was in Roosevelt's carrot, if that was indeed true. And Matt, when we went there, what we discovered, it was alarming. And this is the time when we started asking for Skerrit's resignation. But what did they do? They vilified us, they tried to shame us, and they branded us as enemies of the state. So Roosevelt Skerrit had over a decade to fix this thing. But he did not stop. He continued selling our diplomatic passports as well as the CBI passports to crooks and criminals who were on Interpol's red list, dodgy, crooked criminals. And that is what got us in that hot water today, where Dominicans will not be able to travel as of January 2026. Those who have not, had visa applications, visas and green cards, they will not be able to get them after January 2026. And then he talks about people with visa who can still travel. That is not the issue here, sir. We are talking about the ban. This is the crux of the matter, where you come up with that little thing, hoping that it will pacify Dominicans, it will make it look like there's some positive in it. No, there is no positive in that. And the lawyer explained it very well. Thank you, Tika. And thank you, Matt, for bringing her on. Matt, we have to open up our eyes because, especially, and the journalists in Dominica need to be aware of Roosevelt Skerrit's insults on their intelligence. This man, he will stop at no limits, Matt, to disrespect Dominicans, including media persons. Matt, I have some, to dissect some of the lies Roosevelt Skerrit told the media, and no follow-up questions, no appropriate questions. But I will do that another day and another time.
All right.
Thank you, Matt.
Maslin, thank you very much. Let's see if we can take more phone calls. Hello, talk to me. Yes?
As you see all this explanation, the people that is bowing down and kneeling down to scare it, their supporters. Some of them going to say that's not true. No, their prime minister is right. What he says is true. They will not believe the truth. They will believe the lies from Roosevelt. That is how some people are, his followers. Thank you.
And this is how we bring a wrap to this this afternoon's Talk on the Block. The pleasure is mine in the afternoon. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Nobody go run me. That is where I come from. 3:09 in the afternoon.
Night and day.
Monday, the 22nd day of December.
Doing well, just because I sing a few calypso. But that is my misery. Calypso don't make money, but most of them don't know that I have my axe to grind, just like any other man, existing in poverty, and this giant ghetto lamb. But I intend to hang on. Tell them for me, no. I ain't gonna eat lice, I ain't gonna grow old, sitting in the cold, not me. No, they go have to beat me, they go have to eat me, or the heads go roll. Tell them I say, I was born in this land, I was born in this land. Nobody go run me from where me come from. Nobody go run me, lad. Nobody go run me. Nobody go run me. Nobody go run me. Me woman must yam. Me papa must yam. Me woman must yam. Me picky must yam. Nobody go run me. Nobody go run me. Nobody go run me, lad. Nobody go run me. Life ain't much for us to choose. Some we win and some we lose. But sometimes life is so confusing. I had a lot of friends one time whom I used to wine and dine and give them bread when they need it. Now most of them against me, take me, make against me, simply because I am not what they all want me to be. And with the political views I can't agree. Oh, tell them for me no dice. I ain't gonna eat lice, I ain't gonna grow sitting in the cold, not me, LG. No. They gonna have to beat me, they gonna have to eat me, or the heads go roll. Tell them I say, I was born in this land, I go die in this land. Nobody go run me from where me come from. Nobody go run me, nobody go run me, nobody go run me, nobody go run me. Me woman must yam, me papa must yam, me woman must yam.